Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk Shop. My name is Lauren Sergi. Today, we are going to be tackling one of the issues that actually makes it really difficult for us to connect and engage meaningfully with other people in life or at work. And that is how we manage to hit all the different health points in our life so that we do find a sense of equilibrium, a sense of balance between everything that we're striving to achieve. And to help us figure this critical part of our lives out is Michelle Cederberg. Michelle Cederberg is on a mission to help people find their path to success and balance. With a master's in kinesiology, a BA in psychology, an extensive background in coaching, and a wicked sense of humor, Michelle is uniquely positioned to combine mind, body, and practicality to help people make meaningful, lasting changes. She's the author of 3 books: The Got It Accountability Journal, If Your Life Sucks, It's Your Fault, which is hilarious and I strongly recommend reading it, as well as Energy Now, Small Steps to an Energetic Life. A certified speaking professional, Michelle has spoken to audiences across North America and has been featured in the National Post, Huffington Post, Best Health Magazine, Canadian Living, and many more publications besides. Please welcome Michelle Cederberg. Michelle Cederberg, you are all about energy.
I try to be, yeah.
and you are an energetic person. The first time we met, you had exploded out in the keynote stage, gave an incredible talk, and then I think we chatted afterwards for about half an hour, saying, "Oh my God, me too. You like to do all these crazy things, me too."
There was a connection. And yes, energy. I'd hope that if I'm talking about energy, that I would exude a bit of it when I'm walking my talk out in the world, much like you.
Oh yes, you have to walk it, even if it is purchased.
Every now and then, yes.
Every now and then.
I have my 2 cups of coffee a day, and the rest of the time it's water and good fresh air and life that you love, right?
Yes. Now, a lot of people find it really hard actually to put the concepts like success or overwhelm or happy or energy into concrete words, into something that means something, not just to them, but also to other people as well when they talk about it. You've got a great way with words. Of course, you're a professional speaker in addition to being a coach and consultant. So I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about how the words that we choose and the way that we talk about these kinds of ideas actually affect the way that we pursue things like success or happiness.
Isn't that so interesting? Because I love words. I love energizing words, and I love words with possibility. In fact, possibility is one of my words. You know, when you think about the ways that you frame your life or think about your life, I like words like possibility and optimism and determination and action-related words that we can kind of apply to. Yeah, I can be that. Courage. That's one of my favorite words. Choice. You know, the words that we wrap around our way of thinking, it's like, I have choices every single day. I'm a determined individual. I also think in phrases, let's do this. Do the freaking work, and have that punch and energy to a lot of stuff that I think about and that I put out there. I want people to attach positivity to the way they think and how they verbalize.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you hit upon the notion of choice, because that's a big one that I find is especially empowering. Because no, you can't control how other people are going to behave. You can't control what they're going to say, but your reaction to them, you can always, always, always choose that.
In the instant, when everything's going on around you and chaos is making you crazy, to stop and say, what's the one next good decision I can make? What power do I have in this? And I love the I'm trying to think of it now. Oh gosh. And I can't even believe that I can't remember it. It'll come to me. The serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So when life is going off around you, what do I have control over right now? What's the next best decision I can make? What's my choice here?
Yeah. When it
Suck
comes
it up and
to,
suffer.
yeah, exactly. Do I really have to suffer like this, or am
Yeah.
I actually opting into that suffering? And when I
Mm.
come up with against people who are having really difficult problems communicating in the workplace or even in their regular life, you hear things like, "Oh, well, I can't talk to this person because I know they're going to bring up this issue, or I know we're going to get on this topic," and it drives me completely crazy. And my thought to that is, well, if you know that they're going to go there, then you can mentally prep yourself to say,
Yeah.
okay, I can either choose to engage in this nonsense, or I can just let them be a blowhard for a little while, hold my tongue, and just get through it. I don't have to respond the way that people or my body or my brain are screaming at me to respond by. You don't have to do
Yeah, the
that.
thing that's exciting about that is that we have our words and we don't always have to use them, right? Sometimes there's power in just being present and witnessing it and agreeing or disagreeing, not choosing to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Workplace frustrations are a big one, and I coach a lot of my clients through challenging conversations and how to show up. And a lot of times it's like, you know what, zip it, just be present. You know, yeah. which is
So,
which is sometimes more powerful when we choose not to. Yeah,
yeah. A little while ago,
I
I did an interview with Andrea Menard, and one of the things that we spoke about was one group keeping quiet so that another group can have their voice, and even just taking that silence and taking that minute to withdraw a bit is actually a very empowering and a very powerful move. Um, and it's good because it gives other
yeah.
people space.
Well, and because more often than not, in this day and age, people are competing to be heard, and that can happen in, a coffee date with your girlfriend, or in a conversation with your spouse, or at work where everybody's talking and nobody's listening. And one of the most powerful communication tools is to sit back and zip it. I have a ring that says "listen." It just says "listen,"
You
and
even carry it with you.
well.
Oh, we're just having some connectivity issues here.
Just let the words come out and wait until it's my turn to talk.
That
Got off on
works.
a little tangent there, but
Oh,
the
that's okay
power of
because
silence and the power of words.
yes, it's a good tangent to get off on. Um,
Yeah,
one of the terms, and thinking of words, of course, one of the terms you've coined, which I absolutely love, is the success energy equation, and
yeah,
that is one of your standards, one of your
yeah.
personal standards. Can you tell us about what that is?
I kind of stumbled on it by accident, and using trying to find ways to describe what I do, and I talk about health, but I talk about health for empowerment and for productivity and for living your best life and for finding success at a higher level. And so I had put this sentence in one of my descriptions, and a friend of mine said, "What's a success energy thing all about?" I'm like, I don't really know. I just threw it in there. But obviously it meant something to me. So success energy to me, and the success energy equation, is all of the things that you need physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to achieve at a higher level, to be present with the success that you want for yourself. And the success energy equation is four factors: the direction that you're going, the discipline you need to get there, the mindset that you need to hold that space, and then the health that you need to sustain the whole journey.
Mhm.
And I think that most of us will drive after success with determining our direction, and then trying to have the discipline and the mindset to do the thing we want to do. But what we often put aside when we're getting busy and driving towards success is that health priority that's going to sustain the mission, if you will.
Mhm.
Physical, mental, and emotional health that's going to help you make bigger goals. I think that when you're feeling more confident and energized and healthy, you're going to set bigger goals, first of all, but you're also going to have more discipline and a stronger mindset to do the things that you need to do. Because let's face it, sometimes the things that we want for ourselves, it takes work, especially if you set a goal that's slightly challenging. You need to have that energy to push outside that comfort zone and do the thing that you at this point have not yet done.
Yeah, even if it's something you really want or really love and get a lot of
Oh,
joy out of, it can still be a ton of work and just a slog at times.
It's amazing to me that even the things that we love to do, we have to find the energy to do them. And
Yeah.
it, I always say it's not the doing that's tough, it's getting to it. So I also have a small steps mindset that I push towards people to say, it's not the doing that's tough, it's getting to it. And 10 minutes of doing is better than the hour that you were thinking about doing. It's like, just get into action, because action is the great momentum builder.
So how
Vibrating.
it is. It totally is. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing, the action is the hard thing to work on. So when people are trying to get to that action point and actually do the thing, how does that success energy equation help people frame their pursuit of success? Because success is such a loaded word too.
It is such a loaded word. And the direction part of the success energy equation is so vital. And that's kind of like your why, the goal that you're setting for yourself, or the goals you're setting for yourself, or put it more simply, because people kind of shy away from goals, is what do you want? What do you want for your work and your life? Like, what does that look like for you? And if you're not pretty clear on the direction that you want to go with the things that are important to you, it's going to make the journey a little bit more challenging. So the first thing is to get clear, because in doing so, it also allows you to step for even just a moment off of autopilot. And if you've ever had those days when you're just going from the moment the alarm goes off and just kind of piloting your way through the day, getting stuff done, but not necessarily being fully present to everything, we can have days and days and days like that we're getting stuff done, but certainly not at the highest level possible. And we don't often stop and say, okay, wait, am I going in the right direction? Right? So that pause to set clear goals, like what's important to me in my personal life, in my professional life, with my relationships, with my health, what's my why, what do I want? Direction. Set that clear, and it starts to become a little bit more, the next step becomes that much more doable, shall we say.
Right. Do you have any recommendations for figuring out how you can be clear? Because you and I, we deal in words, a lot of words, and we have to be clear with our audiences. We have to be clear in what we're talking about. But in terms of finding internal clarity for what we want, for how we define success, how do we get there?
Oh,
Please help me, Michelle. Please
gosh,
help
and
all of us.
my presentation, the success energy equation, one of the things I talk about is the bad math version of success. And it's kind of how we push our way through on other people's expectations and societal expectations and what we see other people doing. And a lot of times we really do just have to stop and say, what does success look like for me? I talk about the soul-sucking social media comparison trap, where we can sit and just scroll and look at everybody's wonderful lives and say, wow, like new car. Wow, look at that great place where they're speaking. Wow, look at all of that. They always seem so happy, but it's their sizzle reel that you're comparing to your own, B-roll. So we can sit there and go, oh my gosh, my life,
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is when we're stuck in that comparison place, is ask ourselves, is what I'm witnessing what I want for my life, for my work? Because more often than not, if we stop and ask ourselves, okay, what does it look like for me? We have a pretty good idea. What do you want? It's a question that you can ask yourself on a regular basis. What do I want for myself? What do I want for my kids? What do I want for my relationship? What do I want? And if you can start to find ways to answer that question, that's kind of your definition of success.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, but do you have any tips for finding the right kind of success language? Because sometimes, well, what do I want? I think I want this, or I've put it in these words, but that's not quite working.
Right. Well, and one of the ways that I define, success, life balance, whatever you want to have it, is having the ideal mix of people, personal health, purpose, play, and prosperity that you need to create a life and career that you love. Mm-hmm. Having the ideal mix of people, personal health, purpose, play, and prosperity that you need to create the life and career that you love. And it's going to be different for everyone. Mm-hmm. How do people in your life make you feel? How is your health helping you to live a vital existence, if you will? Are you connected in purpose to the work that you do? And if you're not, is there things that you do outside of your work that give you that sense of purpose, whether it's volunteering or, those kinds of things? Do you get enough play in your life? Because as adults, we need it as much, if not more so than kids. They gravitate towards it naturally. We tend to put our nose to the grindstone and forget to have fun, which I think is crazy. And then
Yeah.
of course the prosperity piece, when it comes to success, most of us have to be making enough money to put a roof over our head. But how fancy does that roof have to be? And how fancy does that car have to be? And how much is enough for
Right.
you? Societally doesn't necessarily matter. For you, what does enough look like? And that, I don't know if that helps.
Well, it does, but I also think, in terms of figuring that out, the reframe of what does this look like for you is really important, because we tend, at least I find that I know myself and a lot of other people will tend to frame what should be right for us
Mm,
according to what other people's definitions of good
yeah.
is. So one of them that I know I've wasted a ton of time on is over volunteering for stuff. I don't say that to sound like a martyr. What it
No.
is that I would say, well, I am told that these things bring joy.
Right.
So you end up saying, yeah, sure, I can fulfill that role. Oh, sure, I'll take that on. Yeah, I'll help you out because these are good behaviors
Yeah.
and good measurements of happiness and joy, right? And then you end up burning yourself off out on crap that doesn't matter,
Yeah.
or stuff you
Well,
genuinely don't like.
there's two words that come to mind when you say that. One word is resonance. That feeling of, if I'm doing it, is it resonating with me? Is it filling me up? Is it making me feel good? And a lot of times the volunteering becomes a should. It might
Yeah.
start out resonant, but eventually it runs its course. And so resonance to me is a powerful word. Is it connecting with me? Am I vibrating with it? Does it feel like the right fit for me? And
Mm-hmm.
then also, it's a positive word, but it's a negative word. How easy is it for people to say no? And a lot of times we say yes because we want to be a good person and we want to be liked, and we want to do the right thing, but it's emptying the vessel.
Yeah.
If saying, if helping somebody else is hurting you, it's not helping. And it's I think in with your own definition of success, I think it's really powerful to be able to say no to the right things because it's not the right fit for you, or it's not the right fit for you right now.
Right. Right. Now, for figuring out what you should be driving all of your energy towards, what you should be pursuing, we get down to the rub of also setting goals. We need to set goals. That's part of that clarity. That's part of that
Yeah.
definition for what we want and what we're going to spend time on. And for
Yeah.
and again, personally, figuring out what those goals were was a big way that I was able to detach myself from a lot of, well, I should be doing this because people want me to, and it makes them happy, and it's supposed to make me happy. But figuring out my own goals really helped me to say no in many crucial areas. I know you're
Yeah.
a big believer in goal setting. Why do we need to take the time to sit down and really thoughtfully put the goals into words? Because they can be a bit of a double-edged sword.
They sure can. I mean, well, for me, the number one thing is clarity. And you kind of alluded to it just a moment ago. Once you get clear on your goals, it makes it very easy to determine what you need to say yes to and what you need to say no to. If it doesn't drive the goal forward, then you have the opportunity to say no.
Yeah.
If you're crystal clear about balance in your life and spending time with your family, or driving certain aspects of your business forward, what are the things that are going to help to achieve those goals? And if you're doing something that draws you away from that, then it's pretty clear that maybe I should be reconsidering what I'm saying yes to. So number one is clarity. But I also, I get excited for my own goals when I set them properly. And, we're all familiar with the SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-based. I don't love SMART goals. And I kind of joke around about them in one of my videos. I think SMART goals are pretty dumb. I think the basis of them is good, but I think that there's a better way. And the way that I frame goals is to put the art in SMART, start with the end in mind. And so the T is normally time-based. And I think we do have to set a reasonable time limit on our goals to achieve them, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, but 10 years from now, we're going to lose energy.
Yeah.
But time-based, it's an important one, but I want to set it aside. And the way I like to do the T is it's a thrilling goal. You're going to pick something that's exciting for you. And whether it is, to get down to a 3-day work week, or to run a marathon, or to write a book, or, something that's so exciting to you that it won't go away. And I will often say that thrilling goals still don't get done unless you can get the next one going. So the R is normally specific, measure, realistic. And, you you and I are both coaches. You and I are both kind of a big type of people. And to me, realistic is a bit safe. And so,
Yeah.
if you don't have a singing voice, then you probably shouldn't be trying out for one of those, music shows, but, be realistic about where your talent is. But most of us are capable of greater things than we even can imagine if we just push outside that comfort zone a little bit. So realistic to me is it's a bit safe. And that's where one of my favorite words comes in. Is it resonant? Is your goal resonant? Does it like vibrate within you? So I'll use running a marathon as an example. I ran my one and only marathon back in 2005. But to me,
that's one more than I've done.
Well, I've always wanted to run one. And so it was always there in the back of my mind. And I knew until I did the marathon, it was never going to go away. That's the thrilling part of it. The resonant part for me was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it somewhere fun. And so I went to Honolulu. So the whole time that I was training for the marathon, I'm going to be in Honolulu in December. So that's motivating. So then the A is normally achievable, which I think is such a lark, because if you're going to set a good goal, aren't you doing it to achieve it, ladies and gentlemen? Seriously. And so we set goals and we set them aside. We set goals and we set them aside. How about we set goals we're actually going to achieve? So turf achievable, and throw in the hardest part of the SMART equation, and that is accountability. And that is, this is the one that people always skip over because it's the one that makes you have to do the work, but you're not going to get the goal unless you do the freaking work. That's one of my hashtags. BTFW. Do the freaking work. So accountability, in the marathon case, the accountability for me was the University of Calgary Honolulu Marathon Training Group that met Saturdays and Mondays for 8 months, training for this accountability, that if you didn't show up, they called you and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't always want to go do my long runs. They made me or I made myself. You see how this works? And then once you've got thrilling, resonant, accountable goals, then specific and measurable just happens, and it happens in a bigger way. So, I mean, I encourage your viewers, listeners, followers to think about goals in that way rather than time-based, realistic, achievable. They're just not as fun.
So we're just to reiterate, I love this redefinition of SMART goals so much. It's yes, specific, yes, measurable, but accountable. There's accountability, resonance, and thrilling.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know.
And the accountability one actually is really hitting me, because the thing that I always struggled with was time-based. I can set all of the deadlines in the world that I want, but if I don't have someone else waiting for that work to be delivered, I'm like, it can be done later. But as soon as there is a specific thing that needs to be presented, that if there is someone waiting on that deadline because I've got the manuscript is due at this time, or the presentation is going at this time. As Lauren Michaels says, you don't put on Saturday Night Live because it's ready. You put it on because it's 11 o'clock. If there's that accountability there, the time thing is a non-issue because it gets done.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I'm great at deadlines. Like, give me a deadline and 3 things I have to fit in, and I will get them all done. Give me 3 months, it is true. Our capacity will expand into the time that we have to do it.
Yeah.
And so the accountability piece is somebody who's expecting it, or a deadline because the race is on that day, or a deadline because the publishing date is on that day, whatever it would be. It's powerful. Yeah.
So
people don't want to do it because that's when they have to do the work. But
yes, because it's like, damn it, now you got to do it. You have to stop wasting your time. You have
to be easy,
and you have a form to kind of help people out. Can you? Yeah, Michelle has a form to help actually write this stuff down, because you have to write it down.
Writing it down and looking at it every day is pretty freaking powerful. And so what I did, and I just created it, on my own computer, and I have categories. I have physical health, I have emotional, social health, I have business health, growth and business health maintenance, and I have financial health. But you can add in anything in there. But in all of those, it's a weekly thing. This week I will commit to in small steps, and then I will review by a certain date. But by writing them down every single week, you get to see the progress, and you get to see where you're not making progress, and you get to adjust. So the direction piece is clear, but then discipline, mindset get adjusted, because you're looking at it every single week and saying, okay, I'm totally just skipping over that goal every week. Either it's the wrong goal, or you need to recommit the work that you need to do it. And in the middle of it, I have a momentum goal. So, I ask people to, in this middle section here, to write down kind of a big goal, like what I call, momentum or Mac Daddy goal, that if you're doing it, it's going to move you towards like big things. It's going to move you towards like, if you have that goal and you're working towards it, it's going to fill in other parts of your life. So for me right now, Mac Daddy goal I have is to write book number 2.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's called It's How We Work. It's how we work. It's how our bodies work. It's how our mind works. It's how we work. And everything that I'm doing is kind of around that. If that's my Mac Daddy goal, then my blog is in alignment with that, and my weekly videos are in alignment with that, and everything that I'm doing kind of moves me towards that. And having the discipline and the health and all that stuff in order to do the goal. The health piece is an interesting one, because when you set clear goals, then it's, if I have to get up and write for 30 minutes a day, that's my goal right now.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum of 30. I can't stay up too late the night before. I can't have excessive amounts of wine, even if I want to, right? I want to make sure that I'm sleeping well and getting up clear-headed, and away we go, whatever it might be. I have to make sure my desk is clear. I have to make sure that everything is in alignment for me to commit to getting that thing done. Writing it down. So I'm going to make this available. I am going to have it on my website, and I have a free dose login on my homepage. And if you go there and you sign up and put in the word goals, you will come to a page where you'll find this and all sorts of other fun stuff from me.
Excellent. And I'll make sure that all of those links get into the show notes, so that you viewers and listeners can easily find it. Now, you mentioned checking in on your progress on your goals weekly. How often should we be looking at the goals themselves? Great question. And, I'd like to say that I always check mine every, X number of time, but I don't. And I know that when I've set a good goal, I'm working on it regularly. And for me, what ends up happening is, if I've set a goal, but I've kind of set it, then it doesn't, I'm not spending the time on it. And so this usually tells me, okay, we need to redirect that goal. We either need to strengthen it or change it or adjust something in the way we are attacking it. Mm-hmm. And so, for me, if we're checking in every, month or so, every 3 months, that's fantastic. But, if you're going through life and you're not doing anything towards that growth element, then, every 6 months might be okay. But I still think that we need to do it more regularly. Right. So as long as there's no hard and fast, this is how often you should be doing it. Well, but the goals at least a couple of times a year, and the check-ins as long as it's regular. I guess I say, if you set goals that are meaningful, they're always going to be there, and you're always going to be chipping away at them. That would be my hope. Right. So that so the goals aren't set and forget, because that's the way so many people say, okay, I'm going to write down the goals. It's January 1st. And we write them down, we put them somewhere, and we forget about them. Guilty. Instead of, and we all have certain goals that are like that. But if you've got 1 or 2 or 3 things that are really important for you to achieve, and I don't suggest we do a ton right now, for me, through my summer months, or, it is writing the book and doing sales outreach for my business. And it's having some, balance in my life with my husband and my dog, having some fun. So if I'm not doing, sorry, you're not doing a million other things on top of it. I'm active. I want to do my health goals. I want to do my business goals. I want to do my life goals, but I'm not setting 6,000 things that I need to achieve, right. You'll end up doing 1 or none. Now, if we find ourselves not keeping up with, not making progress on the goals, do you have any recommendations for how we can sit down and have a really honest conversation about ourselves with what's going on, without getting into that really negative mindset where we're just beating ourselves up? Well, and this is where the success energy equation can be helpful, because if you set the goal, then discipline and mindset are going to help you to achieve that goal. So one of the things that I will often do is, if I'm not achieving the way I want, I'll sit down and say, okay, what are the distractions? What's getting in the way? How am I not prioritizing this, or what else is getting priority that is drawing me away? Because it's kind of that taking stock, rather than, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that thing. I suck. It's like, where else am I spending my energy? And do I need to redirect some of that energy back to the goal? Because
We will talk about not having energy. The goal is hard, but we do have the time. We do have the energy, and we do things every single day that require effort. And so we're simply just choosing not to do the goal. So
Yeah.
by sitting down and saying, okay, well, I'm doing stuff, but I'm not doing the right stuff. Just to do a redirect towards, and you could be saying, well, maybe the goal's not the right goal, because that could be true as well. But more often than not, we just need to get out of our own way. More often than not, we just need to decide, okay, put a little bit more energy back to this. And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to sweep the plate clean and just spend time on this goal, because there's a reason why we get shifted towards other things. Life happens, I mean, we had tried to connect, you and I, previously, and one of your kids had a dental emergency. Life happens. We had to reschedule, right? All of those things happen, and we could beat ourselves up. Haven't been doing it. I haven't been. Instead of, all right, well, there's all this other stuff that was happening, and right now I've become aware of the fact that I'm not doing the thing I want to. Deep breath, redirect. What do I need to stop doing? What are the distractions? Blah, 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 blah. And then the mindset becomes, yeah, I got this. I'm okay. Because when your discipline and your mindset are strong, it's like, bring it, let's do this. I get excited then.
Well, and
the health piece will help that as well. Like the health piece will help that. I mean, you know me, I'm a health advocate. I've been working in fitness for many, many years. And my big belief is that physical health is the foundation for personal and professional growth. So if we're taking care of ourselves, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, eating healthfully most of the time, getting some movement in on a regular basis, those things feed our physical health, but they also feed our emotional and our mental health. And so we're in a better headspace to receive the hard work and to accept what's working and what's not working, and just do the freaking work.
Do the freaking work.
Do the freaking work.
So in terms of doing the freaking work, and we're going to wrap up on this one last question here, Michelle. If you had one piece of advice for people who want to figure out their own success energy equation, they want to get started, they want to just that first step in figuring this out, what would you say is the thing they can do now to get on their way that would be most impactful?
Oh, gosh.
And we've covered so much ground today, so I know that it's hard to pick one thing.
Well, I mean, for me, it really is as simple as knowing your why, like just really, it's answering that age-old coaching question. What do I want? Like, what do I want? Like, what do I really want? And it can be, what do I want for my kids, or what do I want for my family? But like deep down, like what is driving you to do that thing that you want to do?
Yeah.
Because it could be that, yes, my business needs work, but what I really want is to regain my health. It could be that there's certain aspects of goals that you have that you want to achieve, but what you really want is just a little bit less chaos and a little bit more calm in my life. What do you want? Listen to that internal voice, because that's going to fuel you moving forward. And when you give yourself a little bit of that first, what do you want? If you nurture that, then all of a sudden you're going, okay, what's next? I've got this. A lot of it comes down to personal energy and taking care of ourselves, in the outset.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I completely agree that that's one of the ways that I determine now what I'm going to engage in is how much energy is this going to take, and where else does that energy need to be placed at any point in time. And you, of course, Michelle Cederberg, you are the master of the energy, of figuring out the energy and helping us get real with ours. I know. I love your stuff. I love your work. So for others who are ready to fall in love with your work, and everyone watching, you should all be falling in love with Michelle right now. Where can we find you? How can we sign up? How can we get on board with you?
You can go to worklifeenergy.com. And on the page, you can sign up for my weekly messages. You can go to that free dose box and put in the word goals and get access to a page where you'll have all sorts of fun information from me. And even go to my Facebook page and sign up, because that's a good place to interact and to, just to have conversations. And I've always got some fun stuff going on up there. And that's at facebook.com/4 worklifeenergy. That's all.
Excellent. Excellent. And to everyone watching today, thank you for joining Michelle and I. I always value your eyeballs, your ears, however it is you're consuming this. I'm so glad that you're here with us on this little journey. And make sure, if you haven't already, to also head over to laurensergi.com, sign up for the newsletter, because of course I've got more guests like Michelle coming up, ready to help you with life, with communication, with whatever it is that's being thrown your way. So again, head over to laurensergi.com, sign up for the newsletter, and I look forward to seeing you again on our next Talk Shop interview. Take care. Bye-bye.